Hello, everyone, and welcome to an exciting matchup of our Link to the Past Challenge Cup. Today we have Jixson versus Digidude22, and with me today I have Wallkicks and Walter the Fourth. Welcome, gentlemen, and without further ado, I will toss it over to you, and we can start this race.
Yo, good morning, everyone, or good evening.
Good morning.
From NA for some reason.
It is Tuesday evening here.
Yeah.
But I guess I understand because you live.
Gotta stop living in the past, Wallkicks.
Okay, I got you, man. I got you.
Yeah, we got Jixson versus Digidude going on here today. Both of them know each other very well. They're in the same community, so this is bound to be a good one. What's your thoughts about this one, Wallkicks?
I'm excited. Jixson over here using Paula from Earthbound as their sprite, so I'm a little partial. Oh, it looks like we're already getting a start over here. Jixson starting at Sanctuary, while Digidude also starting at Sanctuary, just getting a couple bombs.
Yeah, that's really nice. Used to get getting bombs in Sanctuary is nice because you don't have to worry about farming bombs or anything like that for Sanctuary, or not Sanctuary, but Kakariko.
Yeah, and Jixson looks like they're going, and Digi, by the way, both look like they're heading over to do some Houlihan to get a little money. Did get a map check on Digi's side. I saw a 5/6 crystal, I believe, at Hera, and then 2 regular crystals over in Eastern and Desert.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what I saw as well.
So just for a little pretense, this is an elimination round matchup, game 1 from Group AA here in the Challenge Cup. This is a best of 3, and since this is game 1, this is a regular open 7-7 defeat Ganon, no variation whatsoever. Ooh, good start. Finding a mirror in Link's house.
That could probably be important. And Jixson is quitting again. Gonna head to Kakariko, I imagine. But since he did the Houlihan, I wonder if it might have just been faster to walk from Link's house instead. Digi is not doing that quite yet. He's gonna go for the escape play. Well, the uncle play at least. If you get more bombs or some kind of weapon here, he might end up diving escape as well.
That's true. So a bit of an interesting start for both runners. Not one I'm used to seeing. I mean, Houlihaning is, something that runners would do, but like you said, not used to seeing a save and quit there back to Sanctuary. While Digi actually opts to go then do the normal uncle start.
Yeah, I mean, it's I guess half paranoid of saving and quitting in version 31 as it is right now, because you get these extra seconds every time you save and quit, and
yeah, that's true.
Because this game is so optimized, so there's already some path that is faster than something else, but all of a sudden just another extra 3 seconds here and there can totally change what's the faster route all of a sudden.
Yeah, very true. Digi picked up a lamp in the uncle area, while Jixson did also check Lumberjack, and I believe it was just 20 rupees. So unless we have a forced Aga seed, we will not be seeing Aga 1.
Mm-hmm. Well, we got the lamp, so maybe.
I mean, that's a sign.
Yeah, both our runners doing the Houlihan play to start off here, but in the Lost Woods we have 600 rupees just laying there.
I mean, you can't know that. You can't know that walking over there, but
Yeah, that is actually a fair reason why most people don't start with the Houlihan in a normal open mode, just because it's quite likely you get a good bunch of money just walking over to Kakariko.
True, and especially if you get
Kakariko shakes.
Yeah, and especially if you get bombs at the start, you usually if you're doing Houlihan, it's because you want money for bombs at the beginning, but those 3 bombs will be just about all you need for Kakariko, pending potentially what's on the race game.
But yeah, at least now they don't have to worry whatsoever about money in the early game. You don't have to worry about Sora or anything like that.
No, they've got everything that they'll need already.
Yeah, I think like 900 rupees is all you would ever need if you're doing all the checks required money. So
let's see, it's 500 for Zora, 100 for Bottle Vendor, 110 for Pod, 80 for Dig Game, and 30 for. So yeah, that equates to roughly 900.
yeah, you got 100 for the big bomb as well.
Yep. Yeah, that's definitely a little more than 900 then.
Yeah. Don't forget 10 for the Smith.
Oh yeah, the Smith takes 10 rupees. You don't even think about it because you barely hear that sound go by.
Yeah, well, if you only have 5 rupees, you'll know this. I promise you.
But
we got a glove and bow in Kakariko. Wow, that's pretty sweet.
That's true. Digi here having a little trouble at Blind's Hut, kind of messing up the block pattern. It's not something you normally see, but if it's, you kind of maybe are on autopilot, and if your autopilot is slightly off, all of a sudden you're looking at it and like, wait a minute, something happened.
Yeah, that happens. I think he could have gotten every chest still except for one, but you don't want to leave one chest this early.
No.
Especially not that one, because you know that your opponent is definitely not leaving that.
And yeah, and as chat's mentioning, Zora is in logic with that glove. With rupees, rupees are never taken into logic consideration because the game will expect you to be able to get rupees regardless. But it is something that will be on the minds of these runners with the money and the glove already.
Yep. Yeah, both bombs and money never something that logic thinks about, because at the start of the game you always have access to them one way or another. You might have to farm a lot, but you got access for them.
So with 3 Light World crystals, you can have some interesting Dark World pendants, and thus you can maybe get some interesting combination of items that you need for going. Walter, what, like if you were running this seed, what pendants would you not want to see in the Dark World?
I would not want to see.
Yeah, like if you're thinking, okay, I'm gonna go in the Dark World, I don't want to see Thieves Town as a pendant because it's something that's pretty easily clearable, or I don't want to see Swamp Palace as a pendant because then we could be looking at a potential hover seed, and then it's like, can my opponent hover, or am I going to be searching Ganon's Tower for a hook shot?
Yeah, I think Thieves Town is definitely one of those that you never want to see as a pendant, because pretty much almost every time you get Dark World access, you also have access to beating Thieves Town. So it's just like one of those normal, pretty standard plays of walking over to Village of Outcast and probably like picking out Thieves Town on the way. But if that's a pendant, all of a sudden you have to question yourself: is this really worth doing? It just makes it easier if you don't have to make that decision on your own.
That's true, and so far South Shore not coming up with a whole lot. Of course, we've only seen the dam, but a little empty so far to start. Our seed.
There's as you mentioned, with triple crystals in the Light World, there's a potential lot of items we could skip depending on what the pendants in the Dark World ends up being.
Jixson here, down to his last bomb.
He has to be really careful here. Oh, no, that was really close, but the Moldrum just refused to go upwards. Did he have any arrows?
No, does not have any arrows yet.
Okay, so now Digi is going to go for the same play here, probably, and he was falling a little bit behind here in the early game because of some, well, he did some extra routings that Jixson hasn't done yet, and now he has the opportunity to catch up here and maybe even get ahead.
That's true, and you wonder if you're Jixson, since you're getting bombs over here, maybe you skip Mini Moldrum Cave for a moment and perhaps go over, take that bow over to Eastern Palace. Not sure their skills in dark rooms, but it is something that is clearable for sure.
Yeah, it's looks like that's what he's doing, and I think it kind of makes sense. He could hope he definitely knows he has the money for Sora, which I imagine will be a play to do after Ice Road Cave for probably both of these runners. But if you walk over here first, you maximize your odds of getting the Moon Pearl before that, so you can get the Waterfall Fairy as well.
Yeah, very true. Because usually, if you're going to want to fake flip, you're going to want to try to get as much of those options as you can. Speaking of Pendant Thieves Town,
oof, King Pendant Thieves Town. I guess we know where the boots are today. There's a sword and a hammer. Okay, that's a really good satchel, as Claw said. The hammer is just nice. We need it for Darkhold access, so now we're using Moon Pearl away. And the sword is going to be really helpful in those dark rooms coming up in Eastern as well.
Definitely, and we'll almost guarantee that we will not be seeing Aga 1 today. Usually you don't do an Aga play until you get a Moon Pearl. Of course, Moon Pearl could just be sitting on Pyramid, but it's that's such a low chance that most runners will usually full clear everything before they admit to a Moon Pearl on Pyramid ledge.
Yeah. Ooh, that's a tough crab hit to take. That is gonna be a hard choice to make if you want to go all the way back there. Use Ice Road Cave now, all of a sudden. It looks like Digi is saying, yeah, screw this as well. He is heading to Eastern too. He is going to be able to do a little bit faster Eastern than Jixson, just because he doesn't have to worry or think anything about the dark rooms. He can just speed through them.
Yeah, that's true. And I agree with, after taking the death heading towards Ice Road Cave, that you're not going to come back to it. You hope it's nothing. And then if it does become something, you just kind of almost admit defeat at that point.
Yeah, at least you wait until you have like boots or fluid or something to make it faster.
Sure.
But also good news for Jixson. Not that I think he's probably going back, because you're not leaving Minimal or King forever. I don't think it. But there's nothing in there. So if he actually ends up not doing it, that would be a pretty Galaxy Brain play.
Oh man, that would be something, a Sphere 1 5-check.
Yeah, it's extremely rare that you get to skip Minimaldrum Cave. And even if you can skip it, it's usually not a good idea to do it.
We did find Cane of Samaria so far here in Eastern Palace. Good item to find, not something that is going to be of a whole lot of use at the moment, but it's never something you'll say no to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's not like immediate progression, but probably necessary later on.
Now, say our other two pendants are Mire and Turtle Rock, and then you find everything you need for Go Mode, and you never have to dip Mire and TR, and you're looking at that Cane of Samaria. Do you think, maybe they gave me this Cane of Samaria strictly so they could have put the Ganon Sour Big Key on the right side in Compass Room?
I would probably 100% think that enough to do Dark Magician strats to be able to guarantee to get over to the right side. But it kind of also depends on the key layout in Ice Palace, because sometimes a cane can be required for that as well.
Yeah, that is very
true. If there's a small key on the boss, then all of a sudden that cane has already fulfilled its purpose before you again started.
So we're seeing Jixson navigating the first dark room in Eastern Palace with relative ease. Especially with the sword, that's not a very difficult one. It's usually the dark room that most runners learn first. Based on the fact that there's I thought maybe that we had already gotten all three items, but
yeah, I was thinking the same, but looks like he kind of forgot about that big chest for just a moment. He made sure to pick up some extra hearts after doing that damage boost skip, so that's good, because this dark room it's not really a hard dark room until it is. Ooh, okay,
because he
yeah,
was
Jixson
already
has to
taking
be a
some
little bit
damage.
careful. He got the key, though, but it looks like he might have got stuck on the lamp here, or the torch in the dark room. Yeah, he's definitely stuck on the torch here, so he has to walk south a little bit in the room. We can go further west. Okay, there. No? Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, because I was like, there's a pot here that you get magic from. So
Right.
we don't see. Okay, there's the magic refill. So now, yep,
Got the
got
door
door
open.
open, and we got through.
All right. Because yeah, that pot can be a little mean. If you're at the very top of the room, you're actually not going to be picking it up. You actually have to be slightly down in order to pick
Yeah.
up that pot. Meanwhile, Digi here is showing us just how easy dark rooms are when you have a light source.
Definitely helps, for sure. Coming up here on the Armos fight, gonna need a minimum of 18 arrows to kill him. That would be the preferable one if you can also get a quick kill as well. We'll see what strat Jixson decides to do here. Yeah, he's going for the... this is the fastest quick kill you can go for. It's a little bit tricky because stuff like that, sometimes they use bounce into you instead, if you're just a little bit off. But it doesn't harm you too much to get this quick kill. Like, we're talking about a couple of seconds, but yeah, you definitely want to save every second you can, but it's not a disaster.
No, and that is crystal number 1, 15, not quite 16 minutes in, so pretty good pace to start. With this, I would imagine Jixson's probably going to finish off South Shore, or they might do back of Escape, not sure.
Yeah, but Escape is pretty interesting right now. Aga is very unlikely to be required, which makes going into Escape early not so bad at all. And he doesn't know it yet, but everything in Escape is in logic since we do have that lamp accessible.
Very true. Meanwhile, Digi also making their way through Eastern Palace, not having a whole lot of trouble here. We're going to get to see some new things over on Jixson's side. All right, well, the Quake medallion is good. Never say no to a medallion. That's about it, though. So, what are we down to at this point? Oh, you know what? With the lamp and the glove and the mirror and the hammer, we have a lot that we can do on the on Death Mountain.
Yeah, for sure. Can get another dungeon completed, and we can also, get like a million items up there.
Yeah, so I imagine that might actually be Digi's next play. I think they'll do back of Escape and then probably head up towards the mountain because they have their lamp, and so everything is in logic there.
And you remember when we said like Jixson could just use arrows here to kill these dudes, but he didn't have any? If he just went into this next room, he would have gotten 20 arrows. Just having a little bit tough time with the hitboxes here. Oh, Moldworm.
But they're getting it. Meanwhile, Digi now working on Paradox Cave.
This is the big one. 7 items. First 2 were less than ideal.
Oh, chat telling us that are they able to hear us?
Well, I'm sorry for you, chat. You had a
missed,
good time not hearing us for a while, but
you missed all of Walter's good jokes. There's our Moon Pro, by the way.
There's our Moon Pro. Okay, nice. That's our Dark World Axis and a Master Sword too, and a Blue Mail and a Bottle. So like a lot of safeties in that game. And okay, we're doing. I guess he went into Paradox Cave before Spiral Cave. He's bomb jumping here, so I'm imagining that must have been the case.
But nailing that bomb jump. Meanwhile, this Mini Molder being a little rude to Jixson, but
yeah,
got the kill and gets a bomb out of it. So we'll take those.
It's the bad part of doing this cave with no boots and only fighter sword. Being things I don't remember what they're called. They do 2 hearts, but so he decides to just take the safe one instead.
Yeah, that's smart. Especially you hold out your sword in that instance, and they're especially in that little tight corridor. Their jumping can get erratic, and next thing you know, they're jumping at you, and you've got nowhere to go.
Yeah.
So it'll be very interesting to see where Digi goes with Dark World Access now, starting at Sanctuary. So likely a play over to Village of Outcasts.
It looks like it, unless he wants to shake. No, I was thinking maybe he skipped back to Escape earlier. So I was thinking maybe he wanted to do that before the Dark World, but it looks like we're just heading to Outcast Skullwoods area. With Skullwoods being a pendant, I would say that it's more likely that people would dip in without the Fyra. because you're like, oh well, maybe I'm getting both the items and I have to come back here. But we'll see. Especially with like Fusum being a pendant too, there's like no reason to rush it.
Definitely, and like you said, because it is a pendant, you kind of want to get those checks out of the way early. And since you've got the mirror, you're probably gonna also want to do some North Dark World, look at Bumper Cave, maybe check Graveyard Ledge while you're in the area before you would go down to Village of Outcasts, just to be thorough. Especially this early. At this point, you probably you're not thinking even if I'm behind, I'm would be at best only slightly behind, not enough to start skipping things.
Yeah, and Jixson is gonna head for Hype Cave first. He has the option of going both west or east afterwards. If he goes west, he can just do like the Smith chain. Well, not the Smith itself, but everything around that, and then use Mirror and walk up to take the next portal. Or if he goes to the east, he can just go and full clear pod, but it's gonna be without a fire source, which can be a little bit tricky sometimes, especially with low percent.
Digi was going for a heart under a pot. Unfortunately, got hit by one of the fire bars.
So, yeah, that's a classic Link to the Past move. You go out of your way to be safe, and you take more damage than if you would have just like pressed on.
Meanwhile, in Hype Cave, we did find a flute and our third shield. Who rolled the seed to give them 3 shields before a half hour?
Pretty hype, I would say. Sure, flute is good, some nice music and stuff, but what we're really looking for is that third shield.
I mean, maybe you, author, but I prefer my seeds without shields. But that's just because it's me. Jixson, by the way, not wanting to orphan Pyramid. This is a check that can actually get orphaned quite a bit. I think with their item layout with a hammer, bow. Although Jixson doesn't have the lamp is readily available, and so you would be probably pushed more towards pod pretty quickly. But they get Bombos Medallion, so.
Which is good. Yeah, that could be our required item to get into Ice Palace. We're also going to need at the very least 1 medallion in order to do Meyer later on, and he's actually going to press all the way up to Catfish. That is one that definitely gets isolated quite a bit. Especially if we have flippers or hookshot up here. That would be like probably the best case scenario for Jixson, because that means you can't even route this in together with the big bomb.
Yeah, definitely. One thing they didn't do though is didn't mirror to do front of escape or check their uncle, and thus they're still missing out on the lamp.
Yeah, that is a good point. That would have been the ideal scenario to do so. And depending on how cynical you are, heading over to use town first. If you're thinking like, okay, this might be a long seed, I don't want to take any chances. I wanna like get all the good stuff out of the way right away. Going to Fusum first and beating it would give you a nice opportunity to just like turn in a green pen the first time you go over to pod.
Definitely. And Digi, I'm not sure how many items they got out of Skullwoods, but did the Bumper Cave check and notice silver arrows are on Bumper Cave, and so if we find our cape, we could potentially be maybe coming back for those.
Yeah, I would think that's kind of depends on how early in the seed it is, but it's probably worth it. Just for the time on Ganon alone is like around a minute if you have tempered or higher in terms of source, and just gives you a lot of like flexibility. I was actually like impressed first. I was like, whoa, they're just leaving the silvers. This dude is not messing around. But I was like, oh, okay, yeah, maybe you need a cape to do that.
Kind of. We're finding more money at Graveyard Ledge. Did you already with more than 1,000 saying, you know what, I don't need that money right now.
So now Jixson is going to head over to the same Dark World portal here, and we'll see if he decides to take the same route that Digi did in the Dark World here. Digi made sure to get some of these, like we saw Jixson get some of the item locations that can easily get isolated in the east part of the Dark World, and Digi is doing the same here in the south part. Like the Graveyard Ledge is one of those items locations that always gets, like, it's so easy to isolate it because it's never convenient to check it.
No, yeah, it can be something where, you know, if you're just trying to go through, you know, you don't even think about it, or you just say, okay, if it's something there, then, you know, we'll deal with it later, or maybe hopefully you find boots and you're able to maybe combo it with Bonk Rocks and King's Tomb at the same time.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of boots, that is one of those items that we're not sure if we need yet or not. Ether is the other one. I guess technically Fire Rod and is also one because we don't know if it's required for Ganon's Tower. But other than that, we can actually start theorizing about Gomo because we need Hookshot and Flippers for Swamp Palace, and we're also going to need the Myths. Except for that, I think that's pretty much it.
Yeah, we're
3 items in best case scenario, but 6 items in the worst case.
Yeah, unfortunately. And to answer a question in chat, Catfish and Zora both already checked by Jixson, so nothing on their end. Jixson did flute, excuse me, to the desert area. Saw our third sword on the ledge, so can't get that yet. But with Titan's Mitts or the Poke, they'll be able to come back for that.
Yeah, but that's at least gonna mean that we're gonna get tempered at the very least for Ganon, making the silvers a little bit more questionable if it's worth grabbing or not. But like, that's a personal preference, I would say, if grabbing the silvers there is worth it or not, because it kind of depends on what your own game knowledge, maybe not game knowledge, but like how sure you feel about doing the Civilist. If you usually have a lot of problems with doing the Civilist, then going and picking up those arrows is definitely worth it.
Oh, definitely. But then at the same time, you're also wondering yourself, okay, where is this cape? I mean, you know, silvers really, the only thing silvers actually do in this game, I think, logic-wise, is give you, you know, the ability to kill Ganon. And so you're thinking to yourself, that cape could actually be anywhere. It could be in Ganon's tower for all we know.
Yeah, for sure.
It, you know, it could be sitting on the pedestal, and you're wondering to yourself, okay, you know, do I feel comfortable enough with a tempered sword Ganon, or if Digi, say, doesn't notice that sword on Desert Ledge, you know, Master Sword Silverless.
Yeah. Found out the sun price is hearts, which is that's pretty convenient. It's not the best one. It's a pretty slow refill, but just grabbing 1 or 2 extra hearts every now and then could be enough to like put you into that safe zone. And Digi did the Uncle route early, so he did not have a reliable weapon to go through Escape. But Jixson, now checking it later on, he can now get everything in the front of Escape, and if there's anything in the Dark Sewers, it's going to be very easy for him to just grab that as well. He doesn't even have the Death Orb, having the mirror.
Did you just with another heart? And we're finding powder so far in front of Escape.
Definitely interesting. To have all the requirements to go check that item location or fetch quests.
And I believe,
might be interesting.
And I don't believe Jixson went into the Dark World in the Village of Outcasts area, so we'll have a little more incentive to check a Magic Bat than Digi would if Digi does do Front of Escape and ends up picking up that powder.
Yeah, for sure. I like the strat here to kill the Ball and Chain Guard just using for quick arrows. We got a map though, so that's something in the Dark Escape.
Digi going through Thieves Town. No small key yet, but we're still missing 2 items, so we'll either get a small key right here, or our last 2 items will be right here and on blind.
Ooh, there's our flippers. Pendant Feast Town. Doing it again.
Yeah.
Just loves having progression.
I already left my mind that Thieves Town was a pendant. Yeah, it's going to be a tough call for Jixson to have to go into.
Yeah, but we're doing so many early like overworld checks and now clearing out everything in escape as well. Probably gonna give him just a tiny bit more incentive to do it, but he also found the lamp, so he's gonna say no. We're doing pot instead, because that makes a lot of sense. It's a crystal, and you can full clear it. It's 5 items. No real reason to not do it. And yeah, sometimes it's not even faster doing go mode as well, so you don't even have that to worry about.
Yeah, it seems likely that we're going to see some form of progression here. Be it the hook shot, or I would guess our Titan's Mitts. This is probably where we'll pick up Titan's Mitts. But Digi finishing off blind, getting their green pendant. That is another check that Digi will be able to do that Jixson can't as they move over to the pod area. Digi will be able to mirror as they're kind of heading towards pod, turning green pendant, and it could be something big.
Yeah, for sure. Maybe a big 20.
That would be big, but in a bad way. I was thinking big as in like maybe the boots.
Boots for killing pendant blind. Yeah, that seems about right. So we're not bow locked quite yet in pod. Not that we have to worry about it because we have the bow. But it's always interesting when you walk in here. You get like super early bow. Got nothing of progression Eastern. Definitely makes your mind wander to like, oh, it might be something in pod. But then when it's not bow locked, it's like, okay, the bow actually doesn't unlock too much in it of itself in pod. Potentially.
Yeah, it depends on our key layout. So we've gotten one non-small key already, which guarantees at least one small key in the bow side, but that doesn't signify a bow locked pod.
Yeah. If you get 2 small keys on the bow locked side, then the majority of the dungeon items, or like the items where you can actually find items, is bow locked.
Digi picking up just their second bottle over at Dig Game. We working on this south route into Cave 45. Something to note, looking at Digi's tracker on their stream, they don't have the shovel tracked. Oh, just kidding. They just tracked it. I know my things. I was gonna say you can do dig spot while you're here, provided you remember that you had the shovel, and sure enough, that was the case. So
I kind of missed where that shovel was.
It was in Thieves Town. But we did get 2 small keys over on the Bowlock side of pod. And stop talking. Hi, Walter.
Yo, what's up? He's gonna stop talking, and the first thing I do is ask him a question. I'm smart. So, we're getting double small keys on the right side there. It makes the different kind of awkward. You're gonna have to check everything before you can go to the back. You don't want to potentially miss the big key and then have to go all the way to the back again for the big chest. But okay, looks like we actually had 5 small keys in the front, which it does happen sometimes, a little bit less common. But yeah, you can actually even get every single small key, all 6 of them in the front, which that is quite rare though.
But those are the good seeds. Those are the kind of seeds that you're thinking to yourself, man, wish I had more of these.
Yeah, I actually had one of those the other day.
Oh, nice.
And there we got our red shield. If only we could find the mirror shield. narcissistic shield you can use to watch yourself all day. And then,
Look at
there
that.
it is.
It's almost as if you knew.
There's something that you knew. You were calling the Titansmiths in Pada. We have the Titansmiths now. Opens up a lot of locations that we can check all of a sudden.
That's true. And with Bombos sitting on Pyramid, and now we have Titansmiths and Flippers as well, even though Jixson doesn't have it, maybe you're looking at an Ice Palace play potentially.
Yeah, Ice Palace would make sense. You can full clear it, and it's a crystal. You could also head over to Mire. You cannot do anything in Mire yet, but at least we can find out what we need to complete it and grab like free quick overworld stuff, and even dip into Desert Palace to see if we need boots as well.
Yeah, that's true. And thinking about it, that would actually be kind of a smart play, because if you go into Desert thinking, okay, if it's not boots locked, that could potentially put boots in Ganon's Tower, and then you're thinking, okay, well then my way into Mire would then potentially be.
We're getting boots now, right?
Yeah, totally. This is where I said it was
gonna
be.
have the. Well, it was something big.
It was. I mean, it was red. The boots are red. No. Okay, fine. Sorry, Walter. You got me on that one. You were the one that predicted the big 20.
Yeah, it's not a very impressive prediction to do, since the big 20 is the most common item in the game.
You're like one of those gamblers who just takes the easy bet. You got to be like me. You got to put it all on black or red in this case.
Isn't that like a 50-50?
Listen, I don't need your sass, sir.
Fair enough.
to answer a question in chat, Link to the Past randomizer. So if this is your first time watching a Link to the Past randomizer, what the randomizer does is it takes all of the items that are in chests and just kind of puts them in. It randomizes them. So normally they're both in Palace of Darkness right now. Normally in Palace of Darkness, in the normal game, in the vanilla game, you find your hammer. In randomizer, you can find your hammer anywhere that doesn't require the hammer. So you can find it in Link's house. In this case, we found it in the back of Sahasrah's hut. So for each of these runners, they're going through the game looking for what they need to complete the goal, which is get up all 7 crystals and clear Ganon's Tower. And so that's kind of a basic, 30-second explanation of randomizer. We're looking at 2 really good runners in Digidude22 and Jixson playing in their game 1 of their Challenge Cup tournament. I hope I hope that was good enough for you, Sir Walter.
Yeah, that sounded really interesting. I should check this Link to the Past randomizer out someday.
You should. It's actually a very fun game, not at all salt-inducing whatsoever, and it has never been bad to me in any way, shape, or form.
That sounds true. We got a boss fight going on, by the way. Jixson is going for the fast strat here, not holding out his sword. Holding out your sword is a little bit safer, but he's just going for the fast one here. And he also nicely waited with getting the last hit a little bit, because if you destroy the mask as Helmsar is spawning the fireballs, you can actually get the fireballs to despawn, which is exactly what he did. Just makes the second part be a little bit more safer and faster too. If you don't take the damage from the fireballs, you can just very quickly dispose of Helmsar, which we did, and we get 3 crystals for Jixson. Now it's going to be very interesting to see where he goes, because he has a lot of options. Getting the mitts might actually be kind of bad for him. Ooh, Digi got an unfortunate thing happening for him here. If you walk up those stairs at the same time as the bomb is exploding, the crystal switch will activate twice, which it did for him. Got it the second time though. But yeah, Jixson getting the mitts means that he has everything open all of a sudden. But that unfortunately might take him further away from getting the flippers that is in the back of Pendant Thieves Town.
Very true. So if you're rooting for Digi, you're hoping that these flippers essentially don't really lock anything other than just access to clearing Swamp and Ice Palace. But if you're hoping for a Jixson win, you're probably trying to will him in your mind to say, hey, don't forget about Pendant Thieves Town. Looking at our Mire medallion, it's Bombos.
Bombos, that's good because we have it, and that also kind of makes Ice Palace a little bit less attractive because we need don't necessarily need bombos for it.
Did get our other medallion, so we have all of our medallions. That is not going to be something we're concerned with.
Yeah, that's interesting.
And then something you had referenced earlier, sure we can open up Mire, but until we get either the hookshot or boots, we aren't going to be getting into Mire.
There's a cape though. Jixson doesn't know it quite yet, but that cape unlocks our second bow, turning all of our arrows into silver. Never really understand how that logic works. You have two bows and then your arrows become silver.
It's witchcraft, and Paula, being the main psychic user in Earthbound, just uses PSI silvers. And
okay, that's cool. I've always been a big fan of this Hogwarts thing, so cool that they finally made a game out of it.
I know, like before the Harry Potter series was a big thing. It was
Harry
like
Potter?
they knew.
Ooh, okay. Boots required for desert, so we kind of know what we need for Gomo then. Hookshot and boots, and I suppose potentially still Fire Rod.
The Fire Rod at this point would probably only be needed unless if we need to make it dip into Turtle Rock, or if our Ganonsaur Big Key is on the right side.
Yeah, that's my thinking. I guess you could do the bomb jump in order to skip the Fire Rod and see it like this, but it's a pretty advanced bomb jump, or maybe not super advanced, but it's not super common, so most people don't like spend the time learning it.
I can say I actually don't know that bomb jump.
Me neither, and I play cross keys all the time where it's actually super useful to know it.
Digi now going to the back of Pod has to be careful. They're sitting on 1.5 hearts, and I don't believe they have any safeties.
I don't think so either. And oof, he's trying to kill this dude and getting some hearts, instead losing a total of 1 heart. So now he's 1 hit away from dying. He's gonna have to be really careful. The stun drop is heart, but unfortunately you cannot stun the turtles with. I guess he could actually spin all of these turtles around and then quake them and then kill them. That would actually work. That's not a game knowledge that most people are aware of, or even just think of. Even if you are aware of it, it's hard to just think of that in the moment.
And to my knowledge, Digi doesn't have Quake.
You know what? It's even harder to quake when you don't have
it. Well, that tells me Digi never did Back of Escape.
That is true. He actually never did that. Might not have to, seeing where Bombos was, but you would have to go to Pyramid though in order to get the Bombos medallion, which is going to be a item check that he has kind of isolated at this point. We talked about it a little bit earlier, that Pyramid is one of those locations where you can very easily isolate it. If he finds Hookshot though, that would incentivize him going to check it, because he could beat Swamp Palace and get the 5-6 crystals. He has to be really careful here. He can not take any more hits. Ooh, that's a rough one.
that tail.
Mm-hmm.
Probably thinking more concerned about those fireballs, not realizing that tail was coming over to whip around.
Yeah, for sure. But some of the times against Helmsor, you just get trapped in like a lose-lose situation where you're dying no matter what you're doing, or like you're not dying but taking damage because it's just the way he's positioned against you. Unfortunately, quite a long boss fight to get back to, but we're not going to skip this. It's a crystal, so he's just going to go for another round.
Yeah, and take a peek to see where Jixson's at.
Yeah, this could very quickly turn into a rabbit hole here if we have a couple of small keys in these first chests accessible. There's a small key. We're continuing, and yeah, it's a little bit unfortunate when you see this. When you dip Turtle Rock without a fire rod, you're pretty much just hoping to get an item so you can just leave. But at least it's a pendant, so even if he has to go as far as like Laser Bridge or something like that, probably doesn't have to come back.
Probably. You know, if we could be those kind of mean commentators who are starting to think, okay, you know, sure, we're only a couple items from go mode, but what could be on the pedestal? And
Right.
looking through our items, our pedestal's looking kind of dead. The only thing that could actually be on the pedestal at this point is
The two items we need for go mode.
Yes. But Jixson, unfortunately, taking a death to the Chain Chomps. Very, very rude enemies. One of the hardest hitters. And not leaving. Still gonna go.
Yeah, I'm waiting for the day. Like, we keep finding new glitches in this game. Even though this game is like older than I am, there's still like new glitches being found like every year. I'm just waiting for the day we find a glitch to like finally kill a Chain Chomp.
Thanks for low-key making me feel old, because I am older than this game.
Okay, well, welcome.
Another small key, which means we can go even further now.
Yeah, we can get to Mimic Cave guaranteed, and the big key chest. And if this is the big key, I mean, then we're really in for a ride here in Turtle Rock.
Now, one thing to note, I don't believe Jixson checked Super Bunny Cave before making this T-Rock.
Yeah, he did not, which I can understand that. You're not planning on going very far into this dungeon, but now all of a sudden we are.
I mean, I would have maybe taken that mirror, gotten the first chest, notice, okay, it's a small key, which means I could be going in for a while. Let's check the Super Bunny Cave just to be sure, in case maybe the fire rod is just sitting right there.
That's the nightmare scenario for sure. There's the boots!
Oh,
you're kidding me.
Wow!
I can't wait to see this fire rod being boots locked. Well, that's some heck of a play from Jixson there. I think we can pretty fairly call him in somewhat of a lead right now, at least. But it's definitely not cemented in any sort of way quite yet.
Agreed, and it's not an item like the flippers that are eventually just gonna lock Jixson out of 2 crystal dungeons. You know, the boots have some use in the fact that it'll get you through a desert and gives you access to mire. But the flippers will eventually force Jixson into Thieves Town, I think, much sooner than the boots would force Jixson into, force Digi into Turtle Rock.
Yeah. I mean, if I was Jixson, I would, after I'm done here on Death Mountain, 100% go do Desert and Mire. Not only is it 2 crystals, but Hookshot can only be in Mire if you have the boots. So that would like scream to me like, yo, go to Mire. What you doing? Okay, Mimic Cave has a red boomerang. I've been told that's the best and worst boomerang by many people. What's your position about this?
Well, it's gained popularity ever since you found out it can use it for splash deletion. I have always been a proponent of the red meringue being the best meringue, so that only just adds to my love for the best meringue. So,
You know what my favorite use with the boomerang is?
what is your favorite use with the boomerang?
Not using it at all, but just making the menu better.
It definitely
that's the
helps
whole
with
reason
menu.
of picking it up, right?
It is absolutely a big help with that menu because it's situated above the hammer, and so if you're just trying to do like quickly over from hammer to hook shot or hammer to bow, it's just a quick up left or up right. Yeah, I can see its uses.
Well, this fairy was kind of rude to Digi, I'm not gonna lie. There's our hook shot. Oh wow. Okay, are you kidding me? Okay, now the play into Church Rock is really Galaxy play, because if you went to Mimic Super Bunny Cave first, got the hook shot, maybe at that point you're like, yeah, okay, we got some good stuff here, maybe we're leaving. But now, going into Church Rock first, you didn't have to make that call.
Yeah, that actually really worked out in Jixson's favor. I definitely agree.
So we definitely know everything we need for Go mode, unless that Fire Rod shows up, or turns out being required. We would be in no mode at this point. So pretty much what Digi needs to go is going up the mountain. And Jixson has to go to the back of Thieves Town. But before Digi goes up the mountain, he needs to pick up that Quake Medallion from the back of Escape, because that is all of a sudden hard required. He's saving according to Sanctuary, so he's probably doing back of Escape. Also, switching over to the mirror here, because this is technically a dungeon, so you can use mirror out of it, which is kind of cool. Wish I knew that when I was a kid. Yeah. Oh, but he's not doing back of Escape though.
I'm curious to know where.
He's gonna go activate the Flute.
Okay.
I guess it was kind of a telltale sign that he was not going to do the back escape when he did the refilling all of his health there, because you don't really need to do that for back of escape.
Sure. So as we come up on the 1 hour, I'm going to go ahead and give a shout out to our two runners, Digidude22 and Jixson. Both of them, really putting on a show for us. So give them a follow if you can. I know they would really appreciate it. And while you're also handing out follows, give one to my co-commentator Walter and our wonderful restreamer and tracker today, Jinxie Girl.
And wall kicks as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, Jinx is both doing tracking and restreaming at the same time, taking care of like the technical difficulties we had earlier. Like without her, this would definitely not be possible. So major shout outs for sure.
So far, our boots checks not paying off. I mean, obviously the boots we know are required for desert, but so far at this point, it's kind of all they're required for.
Yeah, I think that's good enough. To be honest.
And yeah, I'm not sitting here demeaning that, but I mean,
I mean, seeing as we know where all the items for Go mode is, I guess it wasn't too much of a surprise there was nothing in the boots locations.
That does make sense.
Okay, so Digi, this could actually be like a saving grace for Digi, because Jixson is gonna get the flippers as his last item that he needs to get to Gannis Tower, so he's probably go moding Swamp and Ice Palace. Digi is not gonna go mode Ice Palace, probably. He's picking up some extra bombs here for Ice Palace and then heading in, I would imagine. If Fire Rod is in here, that is something Jixson is probably gonna skip, and that could be a game changer in Gannis Tower.
Absolutely, and that's actually not something I thought about, but Very, very smart on your end there, Walther.
That's the first time Walkex ever called me smart, so I'm gonna.
I've called you smart before.
I'm gonna like just
Like,
take
go
a
on the-
moment here.
Fine. I will handle commentary while you bask in the fact that I have called you smart for apparently the first time, which is a lie. Jixson, by the way, going straight to the back of Desert. Personally, I think it's a fine call. I didn't check. I don't know if they checked the map chest, so I don't know if they got that item or not.
Pretty sure he did. 300 rupees, I think it was. So
Okay.
makes sense to go here first, because if the last item is on the boss, you can skip the compass chest and vanilla pinky chest right away.
Definitely.
Ooh, there's a mushroom in our first chest in Ice Palace. That is, I guess, Jixson might potentially check a couple of items if he doesn't see the silvers. He might be looking for silvers when he's in Ice Palace, and that would be one of those locations you could potentially check if you go like semi-go moding it.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, really, at this point, if you're Jixson, you still haven't been to the Village of Outcasts area, and I mean, obviously, we know that's the flippers are sitting there in the back of Thieves' End, but there's not a lot of incentive for Jixson to head in that direction. No fire rod, so it's like, okay, I don't want to, can't finish out Skull Woods, and Thieves' End is a pendant. Why do I want to do that at this point when I'm one item from go mode? So
yeah, that makes sense.
So it would, I would think that they probably wouldn't check Bumper Cave.
It's quite rare you get to skip entire Village of Outcasts, and as we can see from the game we have today here, there's a reason for that. But I think after Meyer, wouldn't be surprised if that's his first stop, because it's the most dense area of items without a doubt for him at the moment. He might actually get the silvers now that I'm thinking about it. He picked up the cape, so he might actually like go do those overall checks before heading into Thieves' Town, because he already spent so much time skipping Thieves' Town.
Yeah, that could be true. And if you see the silvers,
There's our
fire rod.
Oh, okay, that means that as soon as he gets the flippers, he's 100% in go mode. And that also, you know what that means? Fire rod was boots locked.
It was boots locked. Oh man.
This
Now,
is mean.
We know it would be the wrong play, but in Jixson's head, do you think, okay, maybe do I go back into Turtle Rock? Maybe.
Oof, that would be a tough call to make.
I wouldn't do it, but that would be a play for sure.
Mm-hmm. It is worth mentioning that in this game series, we're playing a best of 3, so no matter who wins or loses here today, it's not over yet. You have to win 2 games in total, so when you're playing a best of 3, you can kind of take some gambles and some weird plays that you would not normally do, because even if they don't like play out as you're hoping and you take a loss, like you still have another chance of like coming back again. So I guess that could be a play you would do. You're like, well, if it's in Turtle Rock, I'm 100% winning, right?
That's true. Another thing this means is that Ice and Swamp Palace are completely empty at this point.
Yep. Which is not very good for Digi. Best thing he could find would be like half magic or gold sword, which would be nice. It would like speed things up a little bit, but not enough to make up the time for like not go moding this.
True. I mean, it would be nice for Digi because they're still on Master Sword.
Mm-hmm.
Digi's not picked up their 3rd sword from Desert Ledge. But for Jixson, he knows at this point that, okay, Ice, Swamp, Go mode, and if you're looking for dungeons to go mode, those are your 2 items, or those are your 2 dungeons that you want to go mode.
Yeah, those are the two dungeons that consistently always is like the fastest one to go mode compared to not go mode again. There's a couple of ones like Meyer could be super fast in go mode too, but that's like it's not a guarantee.
Yeah, you're kind
Going
of
into Ice Palace, you're going into Swamp Palace, you know what you're in for.
Meyer can be a good Gomo dungeon if the big key plays fair, which it isn't for Jixson at this point. Jixson down to, I believe, this cutscene chest and then the chest that's next to the big chest.
Mm-hmm. Wouldn't be surprised to see Digi head over to the Mire and desert area after this, because in his mind, he would be only the hookshot away from go mode potentially.
True. Unfortunately, we know that is not the case, but yeah, as you mentioned, Digi might be thinking, okay, hookshot is go, and I can maybe find that here.
This is a really heads-up play from Digi. He did take a death on Helmasaur before, and this time he's not gonna gamble anything, and he's just like taking some extra time to pick up some fairies, but those fairies are gonna be very useful. If he dies, he's gonna just revive instead. So it's a nice heads-up play, and even if he doesn't end up using them here on Cold Star, he's still gonna have them saved for later on.
Yeah, because Master Sword Cold Stare, not easy by any stretch of the imagination. Normally, if you're in here, you're thinking to yourself, okay, I would maybe have Tempered or I'd have the Fire Route to go along with this. So, gonna be a little bit of a difficult fight for sure for Digi.
Mm-hmm. He's switching to hammer. Oof, yeah, he's hammering from underneath, like doing an upwards hammer is really risky. Its hitbox is way harder to hit. Takes a death here, but he has the fairies. So good foresight there from Digi. But he's definitely not quite out of it yet. He still has a lot of the fight left to go.
I know it looked like one of the things he would do, and one of the things that you can do if maybe not super comfortable on the Cold Stare, that top wall, those ice blocks that are falling will just disintegrate on contact and won't actually spread out like you're seeing them now. So it's a little bit of a safety net if you're thinking, okay, I don't want to have to deal with the falling ice from above.
Yeah, for sure. Can be a little bit of a trap sometimes, though. It's like you're standing at the top being like, oh, I'm safe from the ice here, but all of a sudden you're surrounded by Cold Stare and you're like, oh okay, you're right. Cold Stare does even more damage.
But does manage to take down Cold Stare, getting their crystal. So nice work on that. Noted that Digi used Sword and Spins, which does temper damage, and that seemed to work out a lot better than trying the hammer.
With the spins, it's overall a little bit slower, but it's a lot safer. You can keep them at a bit of a distance, and you can also hit multiple at the same time a little bit easier than with the hammer. Gonna get a Vitreous fight coming up here. We let's see, the fastest way we could do this is just going for spin strats, but we also have some other potential ways of doing this. We had some safeties in terms of the cape and the cane of Berna. If you use that, don't have too much magic, so I think spins here would still be faster, which it is. What Jixson is going for here. He's not taking the damage boost strat. Okay, there, no, he actually did a little bit of it. If you so if you take a normal hit from the ice, they hurt quite a bit. And if you step into the goo next to them, you're just going to take 1 heart of damage instead, and you can use that to get iframes and then just step in right in the middle of all the small ice and get a lot of spins, double spins in at one and the same time. And there we go. Very nicely done by Jixson, getting the bow out for the second phase, which is the most efficient way of doing it. You just need to hit the big guy 8 times. I would definitely be crying if someone shot me in the eyes 8 times.
you got to explain that faster. I mean, he finished the fight in the time it took you to explain everything, man.
Yeah, that's how fast it is.
Digi, by the way, now also in the Mire area, picking up their unfortunately worthless Ether Medallion. But looking over at Jixson's side, they're making the Village of Outcasts play.
Also, I said you can get double spins in with spins. That's not true, actually. You only get single spins in.
Is it really only single spins? I thought it was double, but you could be right.
Maybe it is double. I'm not sure. I've never played this game.
Oh, okay. You should give it a try sometime.
Yeah, there's the cape, and that's really good news for Digi. He's probably going to have the silvers when he goes to fight Vitrius, and we can talk about that fight when that comes. That's somewhat of a fast fight as well.
Definitely. And Jixson now in Skull Woods. With the fire rod, you would normally like to go maybe straight to the back, but since it is a pendant, doing the front here is, to me, makes a little bit more sense.
I don't know. I think I would have liked him. I would like to see him go to the back right away because he got the fire rod in a very like convoluted way. So maybe you want to like press that advantage instead of going to the front of Skullwoods, which your opponent like quite likely has already done.
That's true. Digi about to learn the hard way here.
Yeah.
Quick peek into Mire and be like, oh, yep, I have confirmed that this is in fact Misery Mire.
If only there was some Moldorm in there so we could do a Moldorm bounce over that gap.
Oh man, the advanced tech. But I don't think a mini Moldorm would be enough. I think you would need a full-fledged Moldorm.
Well, time to make sure that Enemizer can have boss fights showing up in random spots then.
You're just walking outside of Link's house. Oh god, it's a Trinex.
Yeah, wouldn't that be kind of amazing? Like the Keyrad in the Dark Escape is just like a big Moldorm fight instead.
You're playing standard. It's like, but the game only gave me a fire rod. What am I supposed to do, game?
That's the best kind of standard Enemizer escapes, the ones that can't be beaten.
Give us our unkillable thieves that do 7 hearts of damage.
Oh, Nick Musk saying that they're actually potentially working about something like that. Dude, don't give me hope. They're not doing it.
That would be.
I've been hurt too many times before.
Meanwhile, Jixson now in the back of Skullwoods. Digi looks like doing some cleanup of Village of Outcasts. Probably also going to be working on the Smith chain while they're here.
He bombed the bombable hut and then left. Don't think I've ever seen someone do that before. I hope he's coming back. I mean, if he doesn't come back, it's not going to hurt him. He's just picking up the Smith and then going back. Interesting. I actually kind of missed that he didn't do this when he beat Feaston the first time, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah, I guess so. I'm suspecting Jixson got the second item.
He did, yes. It's a red rupee, and that decision I do support, though, going to check that item before Mafula. Because Mafula had the potential of having nothing, which he actually did. Gonna get our silvers now. So Jixson is gonna be like fully equipped for Ganon later on. And at this point, if you already have the cape, I think it's a no-brainer to pick up the silvers.
Oh yeah, it's only
definitely less than a minute to pick these up. There's a single arrow. That's like the best impression this game can do of giving you the middle finger.
I know some people really like to pick up that single arrow just as a thing. I've never been a proponent of that.
Yeah, we'll pick up enough arrows in this game as it is, I think. But yeah, Jixson is pretty much doing to the best of his ability to skip Feast Town until it's the very last thing he can do.
I mean, in Jixson's mind, it makes sense, and I actually, knowing what we know, obviously it's not the right play, but if I'm in Jixson's seat, I would actually probably be doing the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's in one way, for sure.
Thieves Town is a time commitment compared to maybe doing some of these other checks.
And you're thinking like, well, if it's in Feast Town, my opponent probably got it already. But at the same time, it's like you can get kind of like, we got some sync coming up here. But you can get kind of like tunnel vision sometimes, and being like, if my opponent did this, then they already have it, which is not good. But at the same time, you did a pretty good gamble early on, got rewarded for it. So even if it is here and your opponent did it early, you should still be ahead. So just going for the density, I think, kind of makes sense, but it doesn't really have much of a choice left anymore, because this is pretty much everything he has left is in this area. But he's probably doing everything before the back.
Our tracker noting quite smartly, by the way, did not check Desert Ledge. It's still sitting on that Master Sword.
Yeah, that's kind of rough. Maybe he checks it when he comes back for beating the dungeons, but not having Tempered Sword kind of hurts, because it's one of the best sword upgrades you can get. Saves a lot of time compared to Master Sword. But at least he got silver, so even if he does not end up getting the Tempered Sword, he is at least gonna have those silver arrows on the Ganon fight and some of the other fights coming up too. So he's floating to 4, which means he's probably doing the front of escape, which is not what he needs to do, but it's close to it. He needs to do the back of escape.
Yeah, but I believe the small key is here in the front, so maybe it might be the slower way, but you take the small key, you do the front, you mirror, and you eventually just work your way to the back.
Yeah, I mean, that would mean there's something in the dark sewers, so you might as well just take that route since you're here. And Jixson is probably going for the entire Smith sequence here before Feast Town.
Just refusing the Feast Town.
And there's that small key.
At this point, if you're Jixson, you're probably feeling really good about how you've routed this. You made the gamble into Turtle Rock, and you got hard rewarded for that one with the boots, and by extension, the potentially necessary fire rod.
I think it probably feels good in one way. But at the same time, he's probably last locationing the flippers, which last locationing stuff it never feels good to do that. But your last location as the flippers is definitely a better last location than last locationing the boots, the way that they were placed in the sea. So in that sense, it probably feels maybe not good, but probably fine at least. You can probably be quite sure that he's gonna have the boost long before his opponent as well, which that is always good. Sure, it doesn't really work like normal required items, because this just gives you such a advantage in routing and execution in just moving so much faster than your opponent. So any free time save you can take, you definitely take it.
Oh, definitely. And now, Jixson here. I'm not sure if they know or if there's any need for them.
Think that he has not done Stumpy yet, which is why he's
okay.
And K45. He also got that shovel just recently, so he can do that as well. He could like float away after doing the dig spot, I suppose.
Okay, that makes sense. Fair enough.
And after that, I do believe he's done is the only thing in the game that Jixson would have left. Meanwhile, Digi has been able to actually skip Dark Death Mountain before getting his Quake, which is really good news for him. Because when he's up there, he's going to have the potential of dipping Turtle Rock.
And we know that's what they need to do.
Mm-hmm. There's the Quake Medallion. And I think Dark Death Mountain might be the only thing he has not done. I'm not sure if he did Catfish or not, so that could potentially be something he has as well.
I mean, if he's feeling like thinking he's really behind, you could maybe gamble the front of Swamp. We know that's not necessary, but that is open to Digi.
Mm-hmm. And Jinxie has a good point here. Jixson could actually go back to Turtle Rock, but he's not doing it. That's good.
I mean, that is a tough call to make. It's one we discussed earlier when we were talking about, picking up the fire rod, but it's hard to justify that unless you feel behind.
So into Thief's Town we go. Digi is now going back to that Ice Rod Cave that he skipped, or well, not on purpose,
not skipped.
But he kind of took a death here in the super early game.
Yeah, that's got me wondering if maybe Digi is, a little stuck. Maybe thinking, okay, not necessarily thinking about Turtle Rock at the moment. The pause here. I'm just getting the flute out, so hopefully they remember. Okay, I've got access to Dark Death Mountain, and with missed the bird.
Yeah, he took a little bit of a pause in one of his saving quests as well, which might be an indicator that he was like just thinking of like what options he has left, because he doesn't have much. And sometimes you can forget that the Dark Death Mountain is a thing when you don't have the hookshot, because it's honestly not a lot of items up there. All of a sudden, you only have like, I guess, 3 items, because if you can't Spike Cave. But the make or break moment here for Digi is going to be, is he going to go into Turtle Rock? If he goes into Turtle Rock, I think he's still behind, but he can definitely come back from that. If he leaves with that hookshot, that's going to be very hard to come back from.
Definitely, because
Jixson is about to hit go mode very soon, and when he hits go mode, he only has 2 quick go mode dungeons to do.
Yeah,
well,
and
relatively quick.
Sure, and if you're Digi, you grab that hook shot maybe before entering Turtle Rock. You're thinking, okay, Swamp is now all open. I can now also go into Mire. I would think that they would probably flute away. But
yeah, I can see it go both ways. Like going into Turtle Rock when you have those options open, not very appealing. But going into Turtle Rock without the fire rod, usually a pretty quick shake. We know it's not a very quick shake, but like once you get the first key, it's quite common to just keep going, especially because if you leave at that point, you're not coming back until it's the very last thing you can do. which is that's the dangerous part of isolating stuff like this. Like, you're pretty much saying that I'm okay with losing if there's something there.
True, and though this is game 1 of a best of 3, this is also an elimination round, meaning the winner of this does move on, but for the loser, their tournament would be over.
Digi looked like he meant you to quake before going into the portal. Maybe a little bit of like what's it called, muscle memory from doing the normal game, but it turned out quite fine.
By the way, we'll note that Jixson has officially entered Go mode. Did it about 30 seconds ago, picking up the flippers, and you had the flippers, but hey, why not fake flipper while we're here? I know you don't actually fake flipper once you pick up the flippers, but
fake real flipper.
Fake real flippers.
So Digi did open up Tartarok, which that's a good start. That means he was planning on going there unless he didn't find something. He did find something, however, so it's still a little bit of a question mark. Drops down here, so that's a good sign. But he has a decision to make: Tartarok or Spike Cave. He's going for Tartarok, so this is really good. This is really good. He could still potentially skip the fire rod though. In Thieves or in Desert, which could be problematic still, but this is a very good start for him.
Yeah, this is. I mean, he doesn't know it yet, but that was quite the good decision to make.
He has 3 dungeons he needs to complete after this. Desert is going to be really fast. Swamp Palace is fast, but that's something that Jixson has to do as well, so it's not really a time saving against each other, but just cancel each other out. But the Mire is the tough one, because the big key was very rudely placed there, so that could be the deal breaker, honestly.
Definitely, and if Digi is thinking that they might still need Fire Rod, it could be big what order you choose to do these dungeons in. If Digi's thinking, okay, I still could need Fire Rod for Ganon's Tower, and you choose to do Swamp Palace first, all of a sudden you're probably not fully go-moding Swamp Palace like Jixson is going to.
I don't think going into Swamp Palace in that scenario would ever be the right call. No. Objectively, at least, without knowing any information beforehand. But it is also, depends on how you're feeling personally as well, and how much you want to gamble.
True.
So I did see an Ice Pass bomb jump earlier from Jixson first try. It's a very neat trick to do. That's what gives us the option of just like go moding this dungeon really quickly. And it is a pretty complicated bomb jump if you're not like too experienced with doing bomb jumps in this game.
And Jixson, I believe, is a runner who doesn't have like a set sprite. They kind of like to play multiple sprites, so maybe not accustomed to seeing Paula here. So being able to pull off that bomb jump is still really good. There are setups that maybe use the shadow or the sword.
Yeah, I wonder if he does that. I'm not 100% sure what setup he uses. There's a lot of, like, as you mentioned, like different visual signs. But yeah, the shadow is probably the most consistent one. There's the boots, mirrors right away. So that probably tells us that he's gonna go full on go mode here. Which like GT routing could still play a part, and if it's not on the right side, that can actually just be good for Digi, because Jixson might go to the right side just because he has to fire on.
Yeah, definitely. because it's such a late fire rod and it's not one that's been necessary up until this point. Kind of how we spoke earlier about the pendant possibilities in King of Samaria. You essentially need the same ones.
Yeah.
Essentially in the same situation with fire rod.
So Jixson is about 1 go mode, Desert Palace, and Meyer ahead of Digi at this point. And that's a slow go mode. Meyer as well, unfortunately. He could save some time if he decides to skip the cutscene chest, which is quite common to do in go mode. If you don't get like a small key in that first Firelord side, which I believe was just a map.
I believe that's the case.
That's definitely not a key, at least.
No, it wasn't a small key, because if you know some of your key logic in Meyer, you know if the chest above cutscene chest has a small key, you know that the cutscene chest will have the big key, and I guess that works vice versa, but that's not something you usually run into that situation.
Yeah, key logic in Meyer, that's like...
That's Galaxy right there.
Yeah, it's like one of the least useful dungeons to know key logic about, but in terms like that, it definitely helps.
One other thing to make mention of when talking go moding dungeons and the fact that Digi's still slightly behind here is that Digi's still on Master Sword, while Jixson is sitting pretty with Tempered. So that sword difference is going to play a big role here.
Yeah, that alone saved a lot of time on Ganon. Fun fact, the only reason you pick up Tempered Sword in the vanilla speedrun is because of Ganon. Doing the entire game with only Master Sword is actually faster than picking up the Tempered, so you only pick it up for Ganon, which just shows how much time you save on Ganon with the Tempered compared to the Master Sword.
Is it really? Like, I didn't know that was like the end, like the only reason you pick it up in NMG.
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
Huh. Good to know. As someone who totally and completely runs NMG.
Yeah, I love NMG. It's the least frustrating game mode in the world.
Really? Tell me more.
Nah, we're gonna focus on these runs.
Jixson's skipping every chest now at this point. Again, showing why being able to go mode Swamp Palace is such a big benefit to not being able to go mode it.
Yeah, he's not checking anything, which makes sense. He has silvers, he has tempered, so he has nothing to worry about really. He got even some potions. I think he picked up when he visited the witch earlier. So all he needs to do is like try his best to clear out this dungeon as fast as possible and then just find the big key in Ganon's Tower. Speaking of, we do have a big key guessing game coming up here very soon. I think if you type exclamation mark bad and then a number, that's how you enter the game. There's 22 chests in Ganon's Tower, and yeah, pretty much guess the number you think that the big key is going to be in. We're going to go by Jixson's routing because he's the first one who's going to enter Ganon's Tower. And I guess, yeah, looks like we have the big key guessing game open now. So just get your bets in. Where do you think it's going to be, Jixson?
Man, I am running and commentating at the same time. I am that good.
Yeah, that's impressive.
I'm gonna say it's I think it's gonna be in that compass room, and I think Jixson is gonna kind of do the hope room 2 chests. If you get a small key, you go right. So I'm gonna bet 5.
Yeah, that's that would be rough for Digi if that's the case.
Yeah.
You don't have to like donate anything in order to play. I think that's just for like the official leaderboard, but everyone can just play alone for fun as well.
I mean, clearly this is the real game here. You know, everything that you've seen has just led up to the Gannon Tower Big Key.
Yeah, luckily it's the best of 3. So if I lose the Big Key guessing game now, I'm not out yet, right?
I mean, for us, it's best of 1.
Oh, shit. Well, better be 15 then. If you lose the Big Key guessing game, you're out of commentating. Like, take it all away.
What? How mean.
They're not.
I mean, if I lose, it's best of 3.
Okay. Now we're gonna see the silver fight here. It's super fast. Pretty much everything you need to do is hit every single small eye with 1 arrow each, which we're already completed, and then the big one twice, which is definitely the fastest way you can beat this boss. There's a reason where you get the silver arrows in a normal vanilla game right after beating this boss. Because if you got them before, it would have been like kind of a joke, to be honest. Okay, here we go. GT.
Oh man.
I would be surprised if we get a small key and Jixson does not go to the compass chest.
You know, Ving Timunda, I can't even pronounce that. You know, it is nice to meet you as well.
I agree.
Betting is now closed, by the way. We're in GT.
Oh, there's the big key.
Just...
No one gets 1, and we're gonna forget who's closest to 1.
You know, Jinxie's the only sub that bets. Congratulations, Jinxie.
Well, this feels rigged.
Oh, but look at that. ZSR bot also showing off some love for some commentator. I don't know.
Now it's definitely rigged.
All right, you know, I guess we'll make it best for you.
Okay, punk.
Digi, by the way, now heading to the back of Desert. Don't believe, 1, they've checked the ledge and thus still missing out on their temporary sword. 2, not gone right side in this. At this point, not getting the fire rod, which at this point we know is actually not necessary.
Yeah, it's just going to be faster not to get the fire rod, honestly.
And to respond to someone in chat, thank you for your consideration. Did you hear in the Landmo fight using Master Sword spins, which with the silvers would be faster to maybe switch over to those silvers. You know, I'll let you explain, because the Master Sword can sometimes act weird in these fights.
Yeah, the Master Sword is just you're not supposed to have it in the light world against the bosses, so it's just like weirdly programmed against them. They do like the same damage as the Fighter Sword, sometimes even less than Fighter Sword, which is really weird. But we do get a couple of spins in here, which if you do a spin with the Master Sword, it's a tempered sword hit instead. But definitely silvers would have been the most efficient way to do this. As we can see, illustration of here on the other screen, where Jixson is doing the silver fight against Lamolas 2. Only needs 1 hit per Lamolas, but he also, the downside is you have to hit him.
Yeah, and Lanmo can be a little mean, and you would think, in Ganon's Tower you have each of the 3 Light World bosses back in, with like a little bit of a variation. So like Armos, you're on ice. Moldorm 2, the arena is a weird shape. For Lanmo 2, the only thing they add is that little fireball shooter, and you think, oh, that's not bad, and then you try the fight, and it's just it becomes such an inconvenient to be worrying about the Lanmo while that like silly little fireball is just coming your way.
Yeah, for sure. It just shows you the beauty of simplicity sometimes. Sometimes the best solution is just the simplest.
Definitely.
And it really does. Like, that fight, arguably it could be the hardest upgrade fight compared to like the vanilla ones. Just because it's that Medusa head just has the timing to hit you every single time if you're not careful. I'm just glad you don't have to use a normal bow in that fight.
Yeah, those NMG Lanmo strats can be a pain. Jixson, by the way, remembering that they came up here with just the 1 small key, needed to grab that second one from the mini helmets.
Yep, you need double keys to get through here, but luckily there's always one upstairs.
You should have YOLO'd it.
Got some powdery. Just because. I mean, why not? Ooh, having a hard fight here against Moldorm. Moldorm is kind of rude, to be honest. This don't have as much space to operate on this one compared to the original one. So, but he got the second rematch done here. Yeah, he's gonna check the last chest. Oh, and it's a vanilla big 20. Is this even randomized?
Wow, it's like why do I was hoping for, like, I don't know, Ice Rod or something.
That would have been rude if this was all dungeons.
Anyways, on to Aga 2 for Jixson, cleaning this up. Digi still going through Swamp Palace.
Yeah, and he never did pick up that tempered sword. And very unlikely that he's gonna find a sword in Ganon's Tower. Nice triple hit there for Jixson on the Aga fight. I think he only needs 1 more, maybe 2. There we go. He has 6 hits in total, and Aga 2 is down. And we only have Ganon left for Jixson, which is gonna be it's gonna be a pretty good fight coming up here, because you have Temper Sword, which is the sword you want to have against Ganon, and you got Silvers, which is going to make the last phase of Ganon super easy compared to not having them, or at least, super fast compared to not having them.
Yep, Tempered Sword is just 12 slashes phase 1, 12 slashes phase 2, 4 for phase 3, and then you can just switch over to them Silvers. Again, by the way, giving us some nice little, dropping some knowledge on us. Stuff I actually didn't know.
And I missed. What did it say?
Something about the history of bacon and how much Americans eat.
Oh. Can non-Americans eat bacon too, please?
Absolutely.
Okay, good.
To answer a question in chat, Digi is not missing anything. Digi is in go mode, but checking some chests, maybe hoping for, like, a sword. I think that's probably the biggest thing.
And we're already into phase 3. Actually, almost past phase 3 as well, if it wasn't for all those teleports. Just need 1 more hit. I've Again, I could stop teleporting, please. No, why not? Maybe it's just gonna teleport. I mean, I think you could technically teleport forever.
I mean, I think it's just like a 50-50, you know, it's like, do you teleport or do you not teleport?
If you're the most unluckiest person in the world, you're standing there, it's been teleporting 2,000 times in a row. This is a good setup for maybe a triple. He got a double at least, which means he only needs one more. And there it is. Ganon is dead. Get your GGs in chat for Jixson, who's gonna take the game 1 here against Digidude. Just as Digi picks up his last crystal and is gonna head up for Ganastar as well. GG. I don't have the SRL room up, but
I do. Jixson finishing in first place with an official SRL time of 1 hour, 47 minutes, and 12 seconds.
GG. This was a pretty rude seed as it turned out, with the 2 most annoying pendants in the game having progression.
Meanwhile, Digi now working their way up to Ganon's Tower. Still, unfortunately, with that Master Sword. Maybe, I mean, with the GT Big Key just being there in Hope Room, you're probably not going to go looking for a sword, but, you know, I would suspect our last sword is probably somewhere in GT, just a little bit deeper.
Yeah, that would make sense. Maybe, yeah, like, there's a couple of chests upstairs that Jixson didn't check. So that's probably his best bet to get a tempered sword. And we'll see if Jixson wants to join us in a interview. If you're in the SRL room still, you can ask him if he has access to our Discord.
Jixson mentioning that taking time for a quick bite, but we'll be joining
for sure. That's it's been a long series.
Definitely.
Almost need a smoke after this one, and I'm not even smoking.
Just got out there. Nah. Yeah, good race by both of these runners. You know, definitely offered us some divergence. You know, Digi getting the early boots, flippers having that advantage, while Jixson galaxy braining his way to the boots. So, really exciting to see how these 2 runners diverge and how they use kind of what they had to either their advantage or not advantage.
Yeah, it's it was definitely that play that kind of turned the tides in this game, I think. Those boots, just the most annoying item to have as go mode in the seed, I think, and ended up being the one that Digi had to look for in the end. He's gonna head over here to check for, or well, not check, he's gonna pick up a small key, and picking up the arrows. He was running a little bit low, I suppose, so now he's gonna be super safe in terms of his arrows capacity.
Yeah, and I mean, with Master Sword and no half magic and no fire rod, those silver arrows could actually come in handy in the gauntlet fight coming up.
Looks like, okay. When he menued there at first, I was thinking like maybe he was gonna power this and just pick up one more fairy because he lost one earlier, but Digi says, no, we don't need that. We got one already, and we're not even gonna use it. He's showing up a pretty cool thing here with the very early mirror shield that we got. The mirror shield actually blocks the fire spitballs from the mimics, so he didn't have to do any fancy. You could just face them up right away and just shoot them in the face.
It's like one of 2 things the mirror shield does in this game. You would think with a shield that big, it could do a little bit more, but really doesn't.
You know what, Volkex? It's not always all about size.
What is it about then?
You know, I don't know, fancy stuff.
Okay.
It's about the swag.
I mean that's true. You know, it is gold on the front, and I mean,
yeah, and maybe like Digi is like super self-conscious, so like a big shield can like just block his face. He doesn't have to like.
I mean that's one way to take it. I was thinking, you know, with a shield with that much gold on it, that you melt it down, you know, and just sell the gold raw. Probably make a lot of money with that.
Link must be really strong. He's carrying that with one arm.
Gold is definitely expensive. You're not wrong there. Or heavy, excuse me.
Yeah.
I know the words.
It's expensive too. That's factually correct.
Yeah, but you found it in a chest. I mean, you know, for all we know, Link just stole it from somewhere.
He's kind of known to be a thief.
Having a little bit of difficulty here on the gauntlets.
Yeah, and Method Sword definitely shows why it's nice to have the Tempered instead, because Tempered Sword one-hit KOs every enemy in the gauntlet, while the Master Sword does not. I guess the Master Sword, like, technically does that with everything except for the red sass snacks. I think they're called sass snacks. They have like a weird name.
Sure, whatever you say.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I'm being schooled on gold knowledge in chat. Thank you. I know nothing when it comes to gold, so I appreciate actually learning about it.
I mean, this is fantasy gold. This is not
what
normal
fantasy.
Gold. It's a magic mirror, which means it's magic gold. Everyone knows that magic gold is super hard. And it's not a fact that I just made up.
I don't know what to think anymore. Digi finishing up Landmo 2, making their way through the gauntlets to some of the most satisfying rooms in Link to the Past Rando, and that's these 2 Wizrobe rooms. Unfortunately, having a little bit of trouble on this last one.
Yeah, but we're past the gauntlet now, and it's gonna head up towards the Moldorm 2 fight very soon. You just need to pass 2 torch rooms first, and this collapsing bridge.
Digi does not have the fire rod here now. It's doable. It's a little more difficult in this instance.
Yeah, and I think it's probably fine here because he has the boots. Just the punk though might make the difference.
Yeah.
But he can just try it again. Not sure why he's Actually, is that faster to just reset the room like that? He's gonna have to take care of the pots again though, so I don't think that was worth it in the end.
No, not likely.
It looks like we are joined by Jixson. GG's, dude, in this game 1 victory.
Thank you.
So, I'm pretty sure you're able to tell this already, but those boots being not locked by the fire rod, but in fact locking the fire rod itself in Tutrock, that was quite something.
Yeah, that was a surprise. And I only went back in because I was mad at the chain jump.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's right. You took a definite chain jumps there. Would not have been like too surprising for you to just leave at that point, that's for sure. I think that was honestly the play that set both of you apart the most, because Digi did an early play into Feast and got the flippers. So he got the boots at go mode while you got the flippers because you did pretty much everything except for Fuse Town before heading there.
Yeah, I try my best to avoid Filter Outcast and Thieves Town if I can, if it's a pendant.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense. It's definitely one of the more annoying pendants to have to do early on. So what's your like initial thoughts of the seed overall?
Outside of, in all honesty, the boot placement and the fact that it blocked the fire rod being built, it was not bad at all.
Yeah, the fire rod ended up not being needed in this seed, just little help. Going back to the boots and its location, you didn't do Super Bunny Cave before your Turtle Rock dip. Had you done that, you would have gotten Hookshot first. Would you have, at that point, still been tempted to go into Turtle Rock, even though you would have found the Hookshot first?
Yes, I was committed 100% to going to TR at that point. It was like, it's not a good play coming up here without the boot and the hookshot, but I'm up here, and I'm going to see if I have the medallion, which at that point I think I had all three of them, because of one of them was right near Meyer, I believe.
Yep.
And I was like, I'm going to go in. It seems like a bad idea, but it wouldn't be the first time I found Fire Rod on Laser Bridge.
Yeah, and it definitely worked out in your favor. Digi, by the way, finishing up Moldorm 2, so they're wrapping up. They'll be getting done here momentarily. Digi, though, Jixson, I don't know if you know, didn't get the third sword out of Desert Ledge, so they're still working on this on Master Sword.
Yeah, it's definitely a little bit of a rough time not having tempered, but has done a good job of it. So this is game one between you and Digi. Have you guys talked anything about the potential dates of the upcoming races? It's going to be at least one more.
Not yet. I think plan to, after we get off of this, see if we can work something out next couple days.
Yeah, I know with the holidays it can be a little difficult coming up. But any other overall thoughts? I mean, I know you said the seed wasn't too bad, but anything else you want to share while we're watching Digi finish off Aga 2 and now head into the Ganon fight?
No, it just kind of felt bad. Like, I having the lamp be so free, and then having 2 crystals by the time I actually got it was kind of an annoyance. Like, I was like, well, it's either on Zora or it's in the escape by the time I had it. So I was like, well, we'll get it. We'll make it easier to do with Meyer, at least.
Yeah, and I mean, you had a little bit of an interesting start. You Houlihan right off the bat, eventually pick up that mirror out of Link's house, and then you do the forest, and you're like, oh, here's 600 rupees right out of the forest, and now all of a sudden you have all the money you'll need in the seed.
Yeah, I was not... Well, it was like, I got the bombs in the first chest, and I almost was like, all right, I guess I'll go to Kakariko right away. I was like, no, I'm committed to the Houlihan play like I always do in open mode. And then it's like, oh, there's another 300. Well, damn.
Yeah, it's kind of funny, like you both did that right at the start of the game. Digi is
then I had the fun in the
second phase.
Mini Moldorm cave where they didn't want to die.
yeah, that was a bit rough.
I mean, but that happens to everyone, though.
As well, which was unfortunate. Imagine checking everything in Kakariko and not getting us any arrows whatsoever. Even the single arrow would have been hype at that point.
Found that single arrow. I did not grab that single arrow, though.
Yeah, same with Digi. Did find triple shields pretty quick in the sea, though.
Yeah, and I know it's not part of the logic anymore, but that's part of the reason I went up to TR. I was like, there's a reason. But that's why I was like, it's not required anymore in the logic, but it
Yeah.
puts it in your head.
That's fair. It's actually Mirror Shield has none of the shields actually have any logical function in the game whatsoever in terms of as the logic assumes you to do stuff.
Digi did take, or kind of took a death, but had the fairy. But running low on health again. But they do have their blue potion, so.
Blue potion, that's gonna help a lot. He has red mail, so he's gonna be able to withstand quite a few hits, and he's past the first two phases, so that's the most difficult ones. It's still gonna have to be a little bit careful here in phase 3. I would think Master Sword is the only time that phase 3 is ever really dangerous, but like phase 3, you have to do spins in order to hit Ganon, which makes it quite easy to just accidentally get the fire bats to spawn, just like here. So you have to be careful so you don't like fall off if you get hit by them. One more hit. Yeah, Ganon was teleporting quite a lot in both of these fights. You shouldn't have the same teleport. What's it called? RNG, because you didn't have the same cycles. But it looked like both of you just ended up with quite a bit of them. So that's 2 hits. We need 2 more. Okay, that actually did not count because the timing of lighting that torch, unfortunately. That was like an expert dodge by Ganon. It was like lighting the torch what made Ganon like just move around a bit and dodge the arrow.
He just dodge canceled it, you know. Ganon is clearly a Smash Brothers player. But
he's also dead.
There you go. Digi finishing up the Ganon fight. Get your GGs in chat for Digidude. He will finish in second place here with an official SRL time of 2 hours, 3 minutes, and 49 seconds. So GGs to Digi on this very nicely run race. And I believe we're now joined by Digidude. GGs, Digi.
GGs.
First off, you made a really good early play going into Thieves Town, Pendant Thieves Town, no less, and picking up the flippers. Unfortunately, it really wasn't a whole lot behind those flippers, and it turned out the boots were the issue. What are your thoughts on those boots locations in Pendant TR?
Just if you're gonna go TR, then do it the full way. Either that or yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very impressed that you stuck with the TR play even after picking up the hook shot from Super Bunny Cave, because at that point with hook shot, you had that gave you access to Mizurmire, and you could now then full clear Swamp Palace, and yet you still stuck with a Pendant T Rock play, which turned out to be really good.
Oh yeah, I'm guessing that was Jix's go mode as well.
No, actually, Jixson made the play much earlier into Turtle Rock. Jixson's go mode ended up being those flippers.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah, so I'm trying to think what else. You also you both actually made the same starting plays, that you both hula hand. Which very, very nicely done. Impressed, and that was really good for both of you guys. But then, unfortunately, the hula hand kind of became a little pointless once you walked into the forest and saw all that money.
Yeah. What's with all that money?
I mean, sometimes the rando works out that way, where you do the thing, and then your next check, you're like, oh man, I didn't need to do the thing anymore.
Right.
So with game 1 out of the way, it is now you have the option of making a a change for game 2 to either like the mode or fast Ganon. Have you thought about what you want to do for that yet?
I think I do. I'm thinking 6-6.
All right, 6-6. That's not one I've seen a lot of in this tournament.
Yeah, no, it's pretty spicy mode.
That is something that could mess with the runners. So, looking forward to that one for sure.
I hope to have that one up. Haven't talked about scheduling about that one yet, but soon.
Well, we're looking forward to it. Any final thoughts on the seed?
Not really, no. It was pretty straightforward for the most part.
Yeah, I would say so.
Also, I enjoyed the early lamp, and hey, did you guys catch my mess up in Blind's Hut real early?
Yeah, we unfortunately saw that. It happens. There was actually a sword that you missed that was very accessible on the desert ledge.
Oh boy.
Yes, you could have had like tempered for the late game, but you made a pretty good job of just doing Master Sword instead.
Right.
How were you thinking when you saw those silvers up on Bumper Cave, knowing that, oh god, you gotta find the cape if you want those silvers?
Oh, that one was usually when I go to Bumper Ledge, it's usually just, hey, I can ignore this, but nope, okay.
And all of a sudden in your head it's like, oh man, now I've got to seek out this cape, which could be anywhere. Luckily it wasn't buried too deep, just sitting over there on a checkerboard.
Right.
But yeah, GG's to both of you runners. This was a really good race to watch and commentate.
Fun.
Yeah, well played to both of you. GG to Jinxie for the tracking and restream, and to Wallkicks for commentating this with me. Do you guys have any last thoughts you wanna get in about the Smash, or about the tournament, life in general?
Well, I guess I will jump in here with some words of wisdom, which is more of a thank you on behalf of ZSR for everybody joining us in this exciting tournament. It is such a pleasure to be involved in such, a great community. If you are enjoying what you see and think you can do it, feel free to volunteer. We're always looking for commentators, trackers, and free streamers. As you can see, sometimes things go wrong, but it's pretty easy to get it back in order. So I thank everyone for sticking around when we had a couple technical difficulties. Big thanks to Jixson and Digidude22 for letting us restream them tonight. Walter and Wallkicks for being wonderful commentators today, and our lovely chat who always helps keep everything in line. So again, on behalf of ZSR, I want to thank you and wish you a good night.